This is the fourth time that I have tried to film this video, so I feel like my eye is like starting to twitch and I am like on the verge of spiraling. So if you are seeing this video, it means that I was actually successful in getting the footage. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Amelia. I'm a sci-fi writer, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys everything that I know about starting and growing your channel on authortube. So before we even get into camera equipment or the YouTube algorithm or anything like that, there are two questions that you need to ask yourself before you even think about logging into YouTube and creating your account. So, number one, what is it that you hope to get out of YouTube? I think there are generally two ways that you can take your approach to YouTube. Either one, YouTube is mostly a hobby for you and your primary goal is to build a community and maybe just have a place where you can have a little bit of writing accountability. And then number two, you view YouTube more as a business and a place where you can seek self-employment. Side note, if your primary goal with YouTube is to make money, you can still, of course, find community and vice versa. So there is a lot of nuance in this conversation, but I think this is a really important question to ask yourself because how you approach YouTube is going to vary drastically depending on how you answer. If YouTube is something that you intend to do more just for fun, then you can be more lax with filming and editing, and you don't have to worry so much about coming up with videos that will perform really well with the algorithm. And just in general, there's going to be a lot less stress related to your YouTube channel, whereas if your primary goal with YouTube is for it to ultimately be profitable and for you to be making consistent income, you'll need to be much more strategic with your titles and your thumbnails and what you film and how how often you film. So you'll want to be really clear in your answer to that question because it'll help to give you more clear goals and just help you to be more successful in your YouTube journey. And then the second question that I think you need to ask yourself is, am I the type of person who is comfortable with letting the world into my creative process? This question is absolutely vital to consider before you start on authortube. When I first started my channel, this was not a question that I really thoroughly thought about, and luckily filming myself writing and letting the world in doesn't bother me. But maybe for you, filming yourself writing and sharing your process with strangers is something that will mess with your creativity and your writing process. And honestly, if you know that filming yourself writing and sharing your process is going to get into your head and mess with your writing, maybe authortube isn't for you. And I think there is something to be said about being able to create in private. And if that is something that is really important to you, you do not need to feel pressured to monetize your craft. There is nothing inherently about YouTube that makes you more of a legitimate writer. I am just a regular person, and me having a camera and a YouTube channel does not make me any more legitimate of a writer than anyone else. And so if being on camera and filming your writing is just not something that you vibe with, do not feel pressure to start in authortube. We would obviously love to have you, the more the merrier, but I think the most important thing and the thing that I want to encourage the most is to always prioritize your writing and to never let YouTube get in the way of your craft. I would say just do whatever feels most right for you and whatever feels the most comfortable. And either way, you are just as much of a writer. And yeah, so you've answered those 2 questions and you've decided, okay, yeah, I want to be an author tuber. You are going to need something to film and edit all of your videos with. So I film all of my videos on the Sony ZV-E10, which, surprise, surprise, like that is the camera that everyone and their mother uses to film videos. And then the editing software that I use is Final Cut Pro. In general, there's gonna be kind of 3 editing softwares that you can choose from. There is, and I have some notes on my phone, there is Premiere Pro, okay, which is $275 a year for the subscription. DaVinci Resolve is $295 for the one-time flat fee, or there is a free version. And then Final Cut Pro is a $299 flat fee, but you do need to have a MacBook in order to access it. I know that some people are like die-hard Adobe people, and I am just not that girl, okay? Personally, I have used all 3, Premiere Pro, DaVinci, and Final Cut, and I just find, honestly, that Premiere Pro is so complicated, and if you are just learning how to edit, Premiere Pro is just gonna be way too overwhelming. And also, in this like subscription-based hellscape economy, I think we're all trying to get away from subscriptions as much as possible, and you do have to pay for Adobe yearly. So I don't think that Premiere Pro is worth it. If you do want to spend the money on a editing software, I love Final Cut Pro. I think it is so intuitive, beginner friendly. When I first started my channel, I literally had no idea what I was doing, and you know what? Honestly, I still don't, but I do have to say that I learned how to edit on Final Cut Pro, and it was the easiest for me to learn. But if you don't want to buy an editing software, totally understandable. It's super expensive. You can just use DaVinci Resolve and it's free, and it is pretty similar to Final Cut in that it is pretty easy to learn. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go into depth on the nitty-gritty on how I actually edit and film my videos, but I have actually put together a whole Notion page for you guys on everything that I think you need to know in order to start your authortube channel. So on there, there's a bunch of YouTube videos that I watched when I was learning how to edit. There's also links to all of the equipment that I use to film, and everything is completely free and there's no affiliate links or anything like that. There's a bunch of really useful information on there, so if you are interested, you can open the description and click the link to the Notion page, and once it opens, you can just duplicate it and have all of that information on your Notion. So I just really wanted to create a place where you can find everything that I think you need to know to start your channel and have access to a bunch of resources. So there's a lot of good information on there, so I hope that that is helpful for you guys. Now, do I think that you need to invest in a bunch of expensive equipment and software to start your authortube channel? Honestly, I think it depends. If for you, your authortube channel is going to be more of a hobby, I would say that you could probably just stick with all of the things that you already have. And honestly, if you're not looking to drop a whole bag on a very expensive camera, the newer iPhone cameras are actually really impressive, especially if you make sure to have nice bright lighting. Like, you make sure to set up your camera in front of a nice bright window with lots of sunlight. Sunlight is the most soft and natural kind of looking light. So if you make sure to film in 4K on an iPhone, the quality is going to be pretty good. One thing you will want to consider with filming on an iPhone is that it's just not going to be as versatile as a camera, and you will be much more dependent on lighting. But obviously, cameras are very expensive, so if you're just going to stick with your iPhone, honestly, it'll be just fine. Hypothetically, if you do want to spend the money on a camera, do I think that you need to buy like the most expensive camera ever made with the nicest lens ever in the world? No, I do not think that that is necessary, and I actually think that you shouldn't do that. I love my Sony. I think it is the best camera that you can get for the price point, particularly because of the kit lens that the camera comes with. You really can't buy a better lens for the money, and especially if you're a beginner, this camera is really all that you're gonna need. So I do love this camera and I do recommend it. It is a smaller camera, but I will say, you know, it is still a camera. So when you take it out to film in public places, people are going to notice that you're filming like it is a camera. So people are going to look at you, people are going to notice. So just take that into consideration. You may want to consider investing in like a smaller action camera instead. I really like the Osmo Nano that just came out, or the Insta360 is also a good option. You also do not need to invest in everything at once. I will say, I think if you are going to make any sort of equipment investment, I think the best thing that you can buy to up the quality of your content is some sort of really high quality microphone. I use these DJI mics. I really love them, and I think really nice, crisp audio quality just brings the production of your videos up. It makes you stand out, and I think microphones are one of those things that are just absolutely worth the investment. So now let's talk about what is by far the most important part of your video. And hear me when I say this, because the titles and thumbnails of your video can seriously make or break it, because no matter how much time you devote to filming and editing, if you cannot get someone to click on your video, it doesn't matter. Like, especially if you are someone who your goal is to ultimately make money with YouTube, you will want to be very strategic with how you approach your titles and thumbnails. So first, let's talk about how to actually come up with strong titles for your video. I think the most important part about a title is that it encourages curiosity about the video. I think instinctively we kind of want to title a video in a way that describes what it's about, but ultimately the harsh truth is that that is just not enough to get people to engage with their content and get people to actually click and watch and subscribe. So just as an example, instead of titling a video like something like how to write a book, you're gonna want to come up with a title that encourages curiosity and makes the video more enticing for someone who isn't familiar with your channel. So instead of how to write a book, some other ways you could title a video are, is writing a book actually worth it? Here's how to actually write a book. Or if you want to actually write a book, watch this. Notice how those titles are much more engaging and interesting, and they kind of leave a question unanswered for the person who is looking at the title. Essentially, the goal is to create a title that inspires curiosity about the video and that aren't too boring and that are as straightforward as you can make it. And the same thing goes for thumbnails, except there's a couple of other things you are going to want to consider when you're thinking about making a thumbnail. So some of the things that you'll want to do in order to ensure that you get a thumbnail that actually works and that gets more engagement is, number one, to make sure that you have a really high quality, which is why I film everything in 4K. So a nice high quality image with really nice bright lighting that is appealing to someone who might just be scrolling on the YouTube homepage or whatever. You'll also want to make sure that all of the text that you use in your thumbnails is nice and bold, and very important, is legible. You'll want to think about how people actually use YouTube, and most often the way that people find videos and engage with them is gonna be when they are either scrolling on the YouTube homepage or they see your video in their recommended. So with both titles and thumbnails, you'll want to make sure that everything is legible and is as straight to the point as possible. So not to break the fourth wall or anything, but let's talk about the title and thumbnail of this video to give you an example. So I know that I'm going to title this video "How to Start and Grow a Successful AuthorTube Channel," and then I'll probably put something like tips or tricks at the end. And I'm choosing that title because it is, first of all, very straightforward, so you know kind of what to expect from the video, but it also kind of leaves a level of curiosity about what the video exactly entails. Another thing you'll want to consider is how the title actually reads. So you'll want to avoid, first of all, very wordy titles, but you'll want to put the most important part of the video at the beginning of the title. And I know this all sounds kind of ridiculous, but you really only have a second to grab someone who isn't familiar with your channel, and so you want to make your video and what it's about as accessible and easy to understand and appealing as possible. And so yeah, you're gonna want to put what is most valuable or most interesting about the video at the very beginning of the title, so that when someone encounters your video, they immediately can skim the title and kind of know what it's about, because mostly people actually don't fully read titles. So with the thumbnail, kind of in that same vein, you're gonna want to keep it as straightforward as possible. You can also, like I said, put something in the title that kind of leads to curiosity. So you don't necessarily need to put the full title of the video in the thumbnail. So I'm probably just gonna put "Start on AuthorTube," because that is easy to understand and to skim if you're just someone who is scrolling on YouTube. Another thing that you'll want to do to make your thumbnails more interesting is to take pictures while you're filming of stuff that you're doing, and you can add cute little assets to the thumbnails that kind of show what the video is about. You'll also probably want to put little blurbs around. So again, everything that you do needs to be to encourage curiosity, to get someone to actually click on the video, and also just make sure that everything is as straightforward and as legible as possible. That is going to be one of the better ways to increase engagement. And of course, like I said, always make sure that you have a clear image to use, which one of the things that I do, which is very cringy and embarrassing, but you know what, that is just the name of the game, is I will, whenever I am filming a video and I know that I am in a place with nice bright lighting, maybe I like the outfit that I'm wearing that day, oh my god, this is so embarrassing, I will literally take a 2-minute clip, don't judge me, of me doing little poses, making a little face, maybe a little smile, so that I know when I go to make the thumbnail that I have a good high quality image to use in the thumbnail, as embarrassing as it is. Now let's talk a little bit about strategy and growth. So the first thing that is absolutely vital about increasing engagement on YouTube is consistency, consistency, consistency. One thing that is very, very important about the YouTube algorithm is that you are posting consistently and putting content on the platform at least weekly, which I know kind of seems like a lot. So the other thing, that is really important about strategy and growth is mastering sustainability on YouTube. So I think when you are first kind of starting to get your first 1,000 subscribers, there are two goals that you should focus mainly on. Number one should be figuring out where you want to fit within the niche. In this case, obviously the niche is writing and authortube. And then number two, figuring out how you can be sustainable on YouTube. One thing about consistency and sustainability, especially when you're starting out, is that you are going to have to fight perfectionism, which I know is very difficult, trust me, but you need to fight the urge to only put out perfect content, because when you are just starting, you kind of need to just learn how to do YouTube, and the best way to do that is just through repetition. And the more that you make videos, the more that you'll learn what you like to make and also what works. You'll learn your own style, you'll find fonts you want, you'll learn how to edit. So my kind of tough love advice is that you just need to get over perfectionism and give yourself the chance to actually learn how to do YouTube, and just kind of accept that some of the things you put out just aren't going to be perfect. And trust me, that's a lesson that I also need to learn. As I said, this is the 4th time I filmed this video, so I also need to take my own advice. And then when it comes to consistency, you're gonna need to come up with a filming plan and a filming schedule that ensures that you will be able to post frequently on YouTube. So one thing that I do is a staggered filming schedule. So one week I will film a video, and the next week I will be editing and uploading that video while also filming another. So having a plan in terms of filming and editing is going to be really, really useful for you to actually be able to upload on time and upload frequently, which another important thing about the algorithm is that, at least in my experience, is to just find a day that works for you and to post on that same day every week. Obviously, you can take the risk and post outside of that day, but having a schedule and having a plan and knowing what you are actually going to film is so, so helpful, because when you are a beginner, if you try to film things on the fly, it becomes so overwhelming, because you're already trying to figure out how to film, how to edit, and the last thing that you want is to not know what you're filming, and to not have a video topic in mind. Make sure that you give yourself a plan. The next thing is video cadence. Again, one really important thing about the algorithm is not only that people choose to watch your videos and that they engage once they see the video, but also that they actually stick around and watch longer into the video, and that the subscribers that you already have return back to your videos time and time again. So ultimately, you are creating content, which means that people are going to be consuming your videos, and you'll want to make sure that they are entertaining to watch and that they aren't boring. For me, I kind of have this formula, especially when I'm filming writing vlogs, because writing vlogs are the most intense to film and edit, and they can become very overwhelming, especially if you are a beginner. So the formula that I follow is basically the last thing that I film will have to follow with the opposite. So what I mean by that is, if the first clip that I film in a video is you know, a talking clip like this one, the next thing that I will know to film and to follow that talking clip is some sort of B-roll, and then you'll want to stagger that. Obviously, you know, we are mostly filming vlogs, and so things are gonna happen as they happen, but you're gonna want to focus on having a good flow in your videos because it is really, really important that people actually watch a good amount into the video. And of course, attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, so there's only so much that we can fight, but make sure that you try and have a good flow to your vlogs. Another thing that is really important when you are first starting out is learning how to talk on camera. When I first started, I had no idea how to talk on camera, honestly, because it is a pretty uncomfortable and awkward thing to do. You know, it's just you and a camera, so it can feel pretty uncomfortable when you don't really know what you're doing. And for me, the thing that was really hard about learning how to talk on camera is learning how to breathe. When I first started, I would try and like talk everything out all at once, and then I would be like suffocating because obviously I'm not breathing when I'm doing that. So if you do find that you struggle to communicate effectively on camera, try to think about talking in segments and then giving yourself the opportunity to breathe and then talking in another segment, because it can come across as a little bit awkward if you are like exacerbated in your footage and you're like fighting for your life. So it is really important that you grow the skill of talking on camera because it makes your videos more appealing and watchable for people if you become better at talking. And you know, ultimately it's one of those things that you're kind of just gonna have to do in order to get better at it, but that is a little tip is, yeah, try and talk in segments. The final thing in terms of growth is don't just focus on talking about writing. At least this is my opinion. I think if you're trying to grow an audience and a community, people want to know who you are and they want to get a sense of your personality. And so talking exclusively about writing can become a little bit redundant, both for you as the person who's filming and for the people who watch your videos. And again, it's really important for the algorithm to see that people and your subscribers are returning to your videos. And so keep it light, keep it fresh, keep it interesting. And again, when you are a beginner, it can feel very uncomfortable to be in front of a camera. Trust me, I get it, but you want to show who you are, show your personality. So just try to relax and be yourself, and remember, you can always edit and everything is gonna be okay. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. I have to say, honestly, the best way to learn how to start an authortube channel is just to start. That's what I did, and I found that I absolutely love authortube and I love writing and I love being able to share that with you guys. I just like love this little corner of the internet, and I just love authortube, and I think it is a really special place on the internet. And no matter how many tutorials you watch on how to edit or how many how to start an authortube videos you watch, there is nothing that will help you learn quite like just starting. So I would love to see you guys starting your own channels and joining us over here on authortube. It is a good time. And yeah, I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. If you take anything from this video, please just do not buy an Adobe subscription. It is not worth the money. Please don't do that to yourself. So yeah, also don't forget to check the Notion in the description. It is totally free and there's a bunch of resources on there that I think will be really helpful for you. So yeah, thank you so much for being here and for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Okay, bye.